What internet marketing expert should you spend your valuable time listening to? Listen to someone who has over 20 years of web marketing experience and hundreds of website marketing success stories. That man is Aaron Sparks from Site Strategics. And this is Edge of the Web Radio.
We're hearing stories more and more like that, and it's so disturbing. The threat of cyberbullying is intensifying every day, and without social filters that we all learn as adults, I mean, kids and increasingly younger kids are going online without preparation of what they will find there. There are numerous stories and insults and threats to youth online, and society seems incapable of actually acting until it's too late. Well, I'd like to introduce you to a gentleman who has taken up that charge and devoted his time and finances to create what is so desperately needed in this space. This is Bruce Canal of Social Net Watcher. Thanks so much for coming on board, sir.
Thank you, Aaron. I will pronounce your last name Sparks.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Not Spa.
Spox.
Spox.
All right.
That would be someone from the East Coast that probably call you Spox.
That's pretty good.
From the East Coast, they'll probably call me other few choice words. Well, socialnetwatcher.com has one single purpose, and that is to provide advanced information to school district administrators, school district security specialists, parents, and when a student or students may be in danger while attending school. That's a perfect focal point. That is beautiful. Simply put, and I mean, tell us about yourself and how you came to develop this company and this software.
A little bit about my background. I did retire from the Indiana State Police a few years ago.
Yes, sir.
Actually, in 1998. Got involved in school security right at the exit of my department life, state police life. And so I did a lot of school security consulting and found that was very rewarding, and we did a lot of things. That was, of course, after April 20th, 1999, which was Columbine.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to say it was BC. That was before Columbine because I got involved in it in 1998. But in any event, after 1999, things really changed in school security. That was the real first active shooter situation the country really experienced. We really got on board. So what happened? Well, we had a lot of closed-circuit television, a lot of access control, a lot of technology solutions.
Right.
Well, it didn't take long for me to recognize that there really wasn't enough in security management. We weren't doing enough to teach and train teachers. We weren't doing enough to educate the students. We weren't doing a lot of those things. We were just basically putting cameras up. What we know today is a camera does not deter a kid from committing a crime.
No.
It's good evidence of something that happened, but it didn't stop a kid from bringing a gun to school. It didn't stop Clay Bolden Harris from shooting back in 1999. So now we kind of fast forward to about the year 2000. We'll say maybe 9, 10. And I recognized, of course, the kids are moving to the mobile, to the the smartphones. And remember, internet's only 26 years old this year. People think it's been here forever and ever and ever, but it hasn't.
I'm well aware of that.
and Facebook is what, 10 years?
Yep.
Twitter's just 7.
Yep.
So this is really, we're in a real roller coaster. We're in the Wild Wild West today.
Oh, you got that right.
The way I look at it. So what I recognize is that kids' new playground is a smartphone. Kids could be sitting in the bleachers in a football or basketball stadium, sitting side by side and communicating with each other with a smartphone. For you and I, the more mature, what was the word you used? Seasoned?
Seasoned. I'm going to stick with that.
For those more seasoned, we would find that just really kind of ridiculous. Why don't you just turn to the person to your left and say, how you doing? But they don't do it that way today.
They may actually be texting each other 3 feet away.
They could, and they do, and that's exactly what they do. So I recognize that that this is the new medium, that this is their new communication tool, and then like any communication tool, the dark side of it is kids in their anonymity, decide to do things to other kids that they probably would not have done to their face. So that kind of fast forwards us to 2015. We have a lot of kids are being cyberbullied. A lot of kids that are being just tortured. I call it tortured.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we've got kids like this young girl you mentioned, the 13-year-old Gordo High School, and there's Rebecca Sedgwick in Polk County, Florida, and there's Braylee Rice in Marion, Indiana, just a year and a half ago, hanged herself after the first period class, being bullied by a couple girls for 6 months until finally they told her she should hang herself. And in Marion, Indiana, she did that.
Lord.
So there's countless stories. I could go on and on and on. But the point of the matter is we tried to look at something and we're saying, okay, if this is their new communications tool, we've got to get this information to the parents, to the teachers. It's intelligence. And then there was a recent study, Aaron, you will really find this very fascinating. In the end of 2012, the United States Secret Service concluded an investigation of the last 10 years of crimes, of tragedies, suicides, and crimes in schools. And what they determined that those who participated in that activity, the kids that perpetrated the crime or hurt themselves, in 87% of those cases, they had notified somebody through social media before they did it. That's 9 of every 10 events. Someone, the kid that perpetrated the crime, made mention of it in social media before they did it. Now, if you went to the Pentagon and said, I can give you 87% of the time that ISIL is going to make an attack,
Right.
they would jump on this in a New York minute.
Absolutely.
So we had to capitalize on this and say, look, we come up with this thing where we've got the technology. It's an algorithm that can scan things. It still gives the student the privacy that they want,
Right.
and yet we're pushing intelligence quickly to the administrators.
So cyberbullying, the concept of cyberbullying, it comes in a lot of different facets, but and you are focused on preteen type of activities, obviously.
We're at about grade 4.
Okay.
Grade 4 to 12.
Oh, my Lord.
Actually, we've got a couple of school districts that have gone down to grade 1.
Oh, my gosh.
Believe it or not, they have.
So first graders are in social media.
There are. Some of these school districts have complained they've had problems with first graders, but now we're seeing mainly 3rd, 4th in that era, that age group, certainly 5th on up, no doubt about it.
Now on top of that, and it really is the parent that needs to take on the knowledge of how serious this is, and the administrators are certainly aware of that. But there's been a gap of tools to be able to get a handle on this, and just the knowledge of all the different social media platforms. I mean, literally, we were. What was the last social media platform that rose a lot of interest here? It was
Ello.
Ello was one, and I can't remember the other one that offhand.
There's been Kick, Yik Yak.
Kick. And they're getting their even the platforms, as maybe non-threatening as they are, they're getting hacked. They actually can manipulate the scenario. So there has to be a constant vigil of understanding, and that in its own place is a heck of a skill, and you have to have that diligence to be able to continue to ferret through and understand and just do recon on what's inside of social media. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to actually come back and talk much more about this software and Bruce's story, and on top of that, just some topical information and plugging this all together and bringing some good awareness to parents and as school administrators. So stay tuned. This show is actually focused on a very, very important topic about cyberbullying and tools to be able to provide alerts and understanding to school administrators and parents. We're actually talking to Bruce Canal.
Woo!
Of inside joke. I have to listen to listen to the podcast. You'll get it. Of Social Net Watcher. Thank you for coming on board with us today.
Thank you, Aaron, for having me.
No, you're more than welcome. More than welcome. Well, we've been talking about cyberbullying and your software, Social Net Watcher, which is an algorithm, basically a search engine, scanning social media broadcasts from students and be able to see if there are any threatening word choices, phrases, an alert system, for lack of that is the best description right there.
Hit the nail on the head.
And be able to tie that into school administrators and communicate to parents. It's that protection that we are so woefully needing right now whenever we're dealing with cyberbullying. So I wanted to pause for a second and actually just define what cyberbullying truly is and go a little bit deeper into what the ramifications are of that as well.
That is really the crux of the story. What the difference is between cyberbullying and bullying, because a lot of school administrators, a lot of us more mature people, again, might think that bullying, it's kind of a rite of passage. We all went through it, right? At one point or another, where you were walking to school, maybe somebody knocked you down and said, give me your milk money and those kind of things. It
doesn't stop at school. I did that to my operations manager today.
I don't think Brittany or Tom.
I had milk money.
Okay, all right. Well, in any event, you had milk money. But in any event, it isn't bullying. It is not bullying. And the difference is, while you still have a bully, you have a victim, and you have witnesses. That's about all the similarity it is, because a bullying event occurs and then the money's taken or the kid has got a bloody nose and then everyone parts ways and it's over.
Right.
In cyberbullying, it lasts for posterity's sake. You got the retweet button, you got the share button, you got the like button. All those things bring that event back to light again for the victim.
And screenshots and saving and spreading.
All those things. So the thing you're looking at is, it might have occurred at 11 p.m., but for the next weeks, months perhaps, it's being relived, and the victim is reliving it and reliving it and reliving it. And that is one thing that's hard for a lot of people to understand, because they think a bullying event is, like I said, it just builds character. Right. Cyberbullying does not build character; it destroys young people's lives.
It's torture. It's abuse from a place where they're so wanting to create their self-image. Social media is about personal branding, and children know that more than anything, of creating a wake of, hey, look what I did. Look at this. This is me. And the threat and the attack that's at that place, and the amplification. We're talking a small ripple whenever you're in a regular bullying, a real-world bullying environment, but you're talking about amplification to hundredfold of that, the eyes and the attention. And on top of that, the viewers have no filter. They have no moral compass, especially from the point that they're youth. They don't have that trained in them yet. They don't know this, and they will spread it because they want to actually have it not done to them. So they'll point that way and actually focus more on the abused, and that's just
exactly the case.
A catalyst of a huge amount of trauma, basically.
Unlike bullying, where you might have the victim who's gets, as I said, the bloody nose, and you got 7 or 8 witnesses that watched it. They did nothing. Now I say that they didn't say anything, they didn't stop it, but when they walked away, it was over. Your point is well taken, because now you've got those kids, you've got 10, 20, 15 kids or whatever, who see this event on Facebook, or they see this tweet. So they retweet it, and one of the reasons they do, in our focus groups anyway, what we determine, is they do this to keep the bully away from them.
That's right.
It's cannibalism.
That's right.
Eat them before they eat you.
That's exactly what it is. So, but now put yourself in the shoes of the victim. Instead of, let's say, the regular bullying event where 4 or 5 kids witnessed it and didn't do anything, and you don't know whether they really liked it or didn't like it, or whether they're indifferent. Now you've got 95 kids that hit the like button or the retweet button, or they share it, and you think, is that really 95 people that say they don't like me?
My entire class hates me.
Your spirit is broken.
Right.
Absolutely.
You're
That's
broken.
the difference, and I think really your listeners really need to understand that more than anything. That is really probably the cataclysmic difference between bullying and cyberbullying in today's technology. To get our hands around this and get it, really grip it, we've got to understand what the difference is.
I think it's unfortunate that bullying has been ascribed to this, because it truly is a whole new environment that we've pushed our children into. Parents themselves are demonstrating such an attraction to social media, and sometimes irrespective of their own filter, they're in there and they're demonstrating terrible behavior, and their children are watching it. There's a domino effect that's happening here.
Absolutely.
So it starts at the parents' level. Put social media aside. Do not make it a priority in your life. I'm sorry, Brittany, I actually said that.
Well, what has happened is social media has given so many people, the common person, a platform they've never had before.
That's right.
You think about it. In the years of the newspaper, and then involved, of course, in television and radio broadcasts. Okay, you still have the celebrities. You have the Aaron Sparks of the world making their comments.
Snap! Did you hear that?
Yeah.
So, but no one really gets this chance to contribute unless they're going to make a phone call and call in or something other than that. But now social media allows mom who's 28 years old who really has an opinion but nobody ever wants to listen to it. Right. She can, build out her Facebook portfolio and comment about politics or religion or anything else she wants to comment on.
And they really shouldn't,
And they really shouldn't.
Use it for good, people. Use it for good.
Literally, let's take this seriously. Children have killed each other.
They have.
And they've committed suicide after being involved in these type of incidences. We need to also understand the criminal side of this. There literally is misdemeanor cyber harassment behavior that can be charged to, if a child is young enough, and they may actually be charged with a juvenile delinquency as well. Let alone even stronger punishments. Parents, they need to be able to understand what their children are doing, whether. Most importantly, if their children are a victim of an attack, but you also need to know about your child's behavior if they are an abuser, if they are an attacker, okay? Because it can be very easy to do this stealthily, do this anonymously, do this to be able to, for whatever reason. I mean, these are building blocks that kids are playing with, of building self-esteem and understanding themselves. And if you are arming them with the wrong tools to gratify something that's already immature, it will build into something that is taking root in that child's psyche, and it will not be able to be unrooted at all easily.
Yeah, and if you're not concerned about the child's mental stability, let's say you're not, you've got to think about the liability ramifications of this.
Absolutely.
Schools are being sued across the country and losing. Parents are now being brought into these things because ultimately parents are responsible. But schools cannot ignore this anymore.
No.
It's made very clear that their off-campus activity is certainly related to their on-campus activity. Many students wouldn't be bullied if it wasn't for the school environment. That's the bottom line. So schools are being held accountable, and your listeners may listen to this and say, that's just not right. The schools shouldn't be held. But in all honesty, this is where kids spend their lives. Mm-hmm. What is it? Probably 8-9 hours of the day. And if they're involved in extracurricular activities, could be 10 hours a day. They're on the school campus. And then what bleeds off of that?
Mm-hmm.
Their friendships, or in other words, their cyberbullying victims situations, it's all come from the school. So if you're not worried about the mental stability, think about the financial ramifications. You need to step up and say, I want to protect myself financially.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Social Net Watcher again real quick. Describe to this what it is. It's an internet-based social media app, right?
It is a software as a service.
Mm-hmm.
It runs in the cloud. There's nothing ever applied to any there's nothing applied to schools, servers, or anywhere else. The student merely adopts the program for Facebook and for Twitter, for Instagram, and then it monitors. It only scans for proprietary phrases and words and sentences. So if a student is talking about the prom coming up in May, or dad's going to buy him a 16th birthday pickup truck, we'll never see it because it's not in our database.
Got it.
But if you're saying to someone, you're fat and ugly, you should kill yourself, that phrase is in our database.
Or if it's being said to them.
That's right.
Right.
Or if they say, I can't take life anymore, I'm going to kill myself, or I'm going to cut myself, I'm going to hurt myself.
Right.
Those phrases are sent in a real-time alert to school officials.
And you're constantly building up that phrase databank, and you're constantly learning in new spaces as well. So are you able to monitor into most of the most common social media platforms?
Oh, absolutely. We watch all the social media platforms. We look at organizations like Urban Dictionary, NetLingo, a lot of different sources we have to get the most contemporary acronyms, because kids are full of acronyms as well.
Absolutely.
But the most contemporary acronyms, we look at whenever we have a situation. For example, when Jalen Freiberg, a young kid that was, I think he was 15, that killed 4 in Washington State, we went to his Twitter post, and the fortunate thing was there were 4 of his phrases matched our database, but we also picked up a few phrases there and we put those in our database. So it's constantly evolving. We try to stay ahead of the curve.
Understood. Well, can you tell us where can they get a hold of you, and where they can find your information?
If you want to ask about anything, just send it to info@socialnetwatcher.com. You can go to www.socialnetwatcher.com. You see a lot of information there. You can contact all of us. You can take a look at our videos, look at our PowerPoint presentations, and kind of get a feel of what we have. A lot of information.
You're on Twitter, too.
We are on Twitter. Yes. It's at SoNetWatch is our Twitter
Excellent.
handle.
All right. Hey, we're going to hear a bit more from Bruce coming up here, and talking a bit more about some topical things that are happening right inside of social media, and as it applies to bullying. I hate even using that word now because it doesn't really fit for what we're talking about. So stay tuned. Another good segment. We are continuing our talk with Bruce Canal, CEO of Social Net Watcher, a new software tool used to monitor threatening social media activity of our children, our teens, in our school system. This is a very important information to be aware of, from school administrators to parents to children. You need to listen to this, and on top of that, you need to go back and listen to the podcast. Podcasts are airing every Tuesday after the show, so check that out. We'll be broadcasting this. You need to listen to this in its entirety, because we're covering a lot of points about cyberbullying and what you can do on your own to prevent that. Thanks for listening. I'm Aaron Sparks, spelled with an E. Yep, that's me. This is Edge of the Web Radio. The show is presented by Site Strategics. If you're interested in anything digital marketing, social media management, search engine optimization, much more, just give us a shout at 877-SEO for web. That's about as much as we're going to plug our stuff this day. We really want to keep this open as much as possible for this conversation. So, preventing cyberbullying. Okay, we were talking about education for kids and about the consequences, maybe losing their internet access, right?
Sure.
Or their instant messaging accounts. That helps, but teaching them to respect others and take a stand against bullying of all kinds helps too. And you were just talking about this off air is as part of your immersion in this, you're actually seeing scenarios where there's a number of champions on behalf of the person who's actually threatening to kill themselves, unfortunately, but they're coming out and they're actually talking and trying to persuade these children not to.
There are a lot of good kids. I mean, that's we don't want to walk away from this show thinking that every child is a cyberbully and this world is just a an apocalypse. It's not.
Right.
There's a lot of good kids on the internet. We had a situation where a student had threatened to hurt themselves, actually kill themselves, and had really articulated how they were going to do it. They really had it all planned.
Mm-hmm.
But there were several students that had reached out to that student. All this was done through Facebook, if I recall, and just encouraging him not to do that. And so the school administrator was as pleased with the fact that their counselor got a chance to intervene as he was with the fact that he were to call those kids in and give them a pat on the back saying, thank you for doing what you did.
Mm-hmm.
He started this on a Saturday, and they finally got to him on a Monday, of course, and they saw it. Didn't think it really had rose to a level where they needed to intervene over the weekend, and he was just talking about it. But once they had a chance to talk to him, they realized he really was contemplating this and had planned it out. But I think that's a critical thing is we want to get across that the kids, you can't say anything to anyone at any time on the internet.
Right.
There's ethical behavior. And it's a good source. It's the way kids learn today. Mm-hmm. It's schools, especially the one-to-one schools, are adopting this. Where they have a device for every student, and so the social media is here to stay. Let's don't stick your head in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
Let's don't turn off, put on filters and say, okay, we're just not going to let the kids get to the internet because trust me, they can.
Absolutely.
I recall one time. This is about 2 years ago. We were at a school district having a difficult time getting us signed on to the web. So we had a student who was a junior in high school says, Mr. Canal, I can help you with that. Let me just sit down. He sits on my laptop and gets me hooked around their own firewall. And I looked at the assistant principal. He just raised his hands and says, I don't know what to think. But here's a 16-year-old was able to get around their firewall.
It's I'm sure from the student from the school administrator's viewpoint, it's like whack-a-mole of the issues that they have to deal with. They're not trained in IT security.
That's right.
They're not, and companies such as yourself provide such an invaluable tool that they can rely upon that scans, can alert, can communicate to parents and most importantly school administrators to let them know what's happening. What is the school's role in all of this? This is what is really needed to be brought home. Yeah. You just can't dismiss it. You can't even look at it as a budget item.
Mm-mm. Let's make it very quick. There's two things: the parents and the schools. Let's talk about the schools. What is their responsibility? Mm-hmm. The schools do have a responsibility to protect. In a case, 1969, Tinker versus Des Moines.
Right.
It was a case where it was a First Amendment and basically a First Amendment issue, being able to say what they want whenever they want, those kind of things. And the United States Supreme Court upheld those students' right to say, at that time it was the Vietnam War.
Right.
But the same court also made a very clear ruling that school administrator has a right to protect every student in that building. So if a kid even exerts his First Amendment right to talk about something, mm-hmm. if it evokes a problem,
mm-hmm.
a situation,
right.
that trumps it. In
Yeah,
other words,
absolutely.
a 15-year-old doesn't have that complete freedom of speech.
It's like shouting fire in
That's
a
right.
theater.
You're not allowed to do that,
No.
and a lot of people don't understand that. So a lot of school administrators, I think, sometimes forgets that,
Mm-hmm.
that while they have 900 kids in their school, if they're worried about this one kid, because I hear a lot of times, well, we just don't know if we like this program because, a kid has a First Amendment right to privacy and be able to say what they want. That's baloney.
Yeah.
When it comes to the security, a kid that says he's going to bring a gun to school needs to be sought out. Mm-hmm. You don't make threats you're going to bring a gun to school, you're going to bring a bomb to school,
Nope.
or that you're going to kill someone without consequences. Then conversely, what I would tell the parents, same thing. Maybe you don't know the passwords to your child's Facebook or Instagram. Okay, I'm not pressing for that, but I am telling you this. You certainly have a right to take that smartphone and have them open it up and look at who they're texting, look at who they're communicating with. You know, the bottom line is if you were really that concerned as, let's say, a parent of a 15-year-old, that you're going to let that 15-year-old's what you think their privacy trump their security, you have something wrong in your home.
Yeah, the priority is completely skewed.
That's right.
And parents also need to realize that parents need to be the one trusted place where they can go and where things go wrong online. Many times, when things go wrong online, those parents are the ones to avoid, because there's not been parents talk about the birds and the bees, and there's the talk, right? But there's not the talk about social media and how they are base camp, how they are that resource to go to. Now, parents need to be educated about this. They just can't turn a blind eye and have no idea what these platforms are, what the social media accounts are like. They need to be updated and informed, and they need to find the founts of where they can understand this information.
It's difficult to find those locations, I will admit. I know you talked earlier off air that your church has an organization trying to educate your parents.
Yep.
I would tell the parents, attend as many of these things as you can.
Yeah.
You really do need to understand it. I don't know if you need to understand every little whip stitch of a site, Kick, Yik Yak, Kick, Ask.fm, or what. I can go through the whole list.
That was the one I was thinking about earlier. Yeah.
What does it make any difference really to the parent?
No.
But the parent needs to know that, kids go there, they communicate. The one thing also they need to know about their kids, they're able to multitask.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
they can have Ask.fm and Yik Yak open at the same time they're Snapchatting and Instagramming. And that's probably hard for us more
I can't believe you put
people.
that many odd words in one sentence. That's incredible.
Well done.
Well, you can tell I live it a lot. Can you not? I mean,
Yeah,
you know your
absolutely.
business. I do a lot of this all the time. We talk about it all the time. We are constantly evaluating all these services for the platform that they have, the operating systems they work off of, and we're trying to. We just know it, so we live it.
Well, if I could ask you maybe a last thought to say to school administrators, what would it be?
Be proactive.
Yep.
The thing is to be proactive. I'm telling you, I tell every school administrator, look, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There might be every piece of software that's out there today, we can always find a flaw in it. There's something that's wrong. Everything's evolving, right? All software evolves. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater because you think, well, it doesn't do quite this. I've had some superintendents say, well, are you on, do you get to this other one or this, or do you get to Snapchat? No, we don't do Snapchat today. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Say, look, it does this, 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 and this, and let's use it for that reason.
Absolutely. Well, pay attention. School administrators, parents, you need to be involved, and you need to be knowledgeable of what your children are doing. They can either be victims or they can be the abuser, and you need to know your role in this scenario. Thanks for listening.